I went a little early, so I missed the water being turned on, so I had to go about 16 miles without having water, and the temperatures in the canyon reached about 102 that day.
Do you have a little bit of Colorado envy, just a little bit? Welcome to part 2 of our Asheville Spectacular. We're going to have a sit-down with Aaron Saft and Adam Hill and Ann Wheatley coming up. I am still in Asheville today awaiting the hurricane, and I stopped into Just Runnin'. It's the other running store in town in the north of town. And who have I run into but Ann Wheatley. Ann, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. And you have been very busy since we sat down in March. You've been training and running and doing your thing. And I understand you just finished the Blue Ridge Relay as well.
I did. We did the 6-man mixed ultra team, and so we broke the record by a little over an hour. That was our big plan, I guess.
Well, congratulations on part 1 of our spectacular. We sat down with Mark Driscoll, so folks obviously should check that out if they want to hear more about the Blue Ridge Relay. And in this episode, we're going to be talking all about the Asheville running community and the things that make this area so special. For folks that have jumped into our spectacular and are eager to get to Asheville or in the Asheville area and are eager to get out to some races, some of the ultra classics that we've already talked about. Well, the Rooster's Revenge, of course, is fast becoming an ultra classic around here. It was in its first year. We also have the Mount Mitchell Challenge, which is in February coming up. Is that right?
Yes, that's in February, and you can choose to do the 40-mile challenge that summits the top of Mount Mitchell, or you can also do the marathon, which only goes up partway and then comes back down into downtown Black Mountain.
And one of the biggest events of the year is also coming up here in November.
We had the Shut-In Trail Race. It's the oldest running trail race in Asheville right now. We're in our 38th year, and it should be pretty exciting. It's 17.8 miles. It starts at the Arboretum and climbs 5,600 feet to the Pisgah parking lot.
And another kind of ultra classic here in the region that you also completed is the Georgia Death Race.
I did, and that one's a little tougher. I mean, if y'all want to go out there and run that, it is called the Georgia Death Race for a good reason. About 40 miles in, you wish you were dead, and then the next 30-some, you're not real sure how long it's going to last.
And tell us about your race this year.
I led the first 30-some odd miles, like 30-some and some change, and then I got the first few girls past me, and then I kind of fell apart and passed out, and then my running partner told the van that I probably need to get taken down to our aid group crew to kind of DNF the race. And I turned to him and crying, of tears just sobbing down my cheeks. And I said, well, are you going to drop too? And he said, no, I feel fine. And so I got up and took off and finished the 73.5 miles of the race in spite.
And there's one specific thing that's kind of unique about this race.
The Georgia Death Race has the golden ticket race to get into Western. So you get first and second place to get automatic entry into Western states that following June. So that's what I was shooting for.
And what do you carry when you do the Georgia Death Race?
You have to carry a railroad spike, not a railroad tie. Those are the real large things. People got real confused when I told them that. But you have to carry the little spike. So it's about 2 pounds. It's real rusty, and it came straight from the railroad. I mean, it's nasty. You put it in a bag, and they check for it along the way.
And a friend of the show, Michelle Dillon, out in Colorado's got her eye. She got her entry into the death race, and she's going to be giving it a go, I guess next year it would be. So good luck to you, Michelle, out there. All right, well, with that, we're going to jump in. Thanks, Ann. Great to see you.
Oh, it's great seeing you, too. Have a good one.
Backcountry Colorado, hiking, backpacking.
I did a lot of marathons. I was convinced to do some ultras.
Climbing, and I do filming and photography.
I just like the ultras because I love the community. I just think that everybody is so nice, whether they're the first place finishers or, us that kind of mosey along.
We are in Mills River, North Carolina, now home of the Sierra Nevada Brewing, about 15 miles south of Asheville. We are about 3 miles from the National Forest, so it's 3 miles from here to the trailhead, and this opens up into Pisgah Forest, Turkey Pen, Bent Creek, Mountains to Sea, so we have access to, a good wealth of trails from here.
Dispatch Radio, we're all about outdoor adventure, We got a lot of trail runners, ultra runners that listen to our stuff and that we interview. And I know it to be just a phenomenal place that has just amazing outdoors and national parks, and you got the Blue Ridge Mountains. So we wanted to get out and talk to some of the trail running community. And our buddy Josh Stevens that we had a nice interview with a few weeks ago, he told his story and said, if you're going to talk about Asheville running, you got to talk to Aaron Saft, you got to talk to Adam Hill. And then you all were kind enough to rope in
And Wheatley.
Ann Wheatley. Tell us about yourself.
I guess I do ultra trail running, so just kind of around the area. I moved here about 3 years ago, and Josh actually found me first. I was kind of like rambling through the forest and didn't really run with anyone or hang out with anyone, and he was just this guy in the parking lot that was like, "Hey, you,
Josh,
are you running?"
Stevens, the creepy guy in the parking lot. I love it.
But it really helped me because Josh was more involved with the community, and so he kind of got me involved with more of the races. He was running with the people at Just Running, so he started me with like track workouts, which I had been taking a hiatus for a few years. So I really owed a lot to him kind of getting me involved with the community, and it's kind of snowballed since then.
And Josh Stevens, if you don't know about him, go check out our episode with him. But now that he's in Boulder, we're going to call him the Adam Hill of Boulder, I think. Adam, can you explain that? After you're done spitting up your water?
Yeah, after I spewed my water out. My goodness, explain. I guess Russ, Josh, and I bear some resemblance with facial hair.
I was noting that
wit.
earlier. And wits, yes. Beard, cool haircut.
Yes. I guess I aspire to the wit of one Josh Stevens, but no, we miss old Josh, and I guess now, Josh, you are officially the Adam Hill of Boulder.
Yeah, right. And what does that mean, Adam? Can you, without tooting your horn too much, but can you kind of explain your connection to the trail running community here in Asheville?
Well, I guess when I've lived here for about 14 years, and obviously, as most people that come to this area, they come here for mountains, outdoor adventure. I was never into water sports. I liked rock climbing. It really kind of came about the running business. I had hiked the trail, Appalachian Trail, in 1997, but had sort of moved over to rock climbing more. When I moved into Asheville, and if there's rock climbers, this is going to sound pretty funny, but it was fairly an elitist community here. Now, when I moved here around that time, I've sussed it out. It was ultimately, there were a lot of access issues, and for somebody like me, I was new in town trying to find people to climb with, and we just kind of moved here on a whim. I was like, oh, where do we want to go? Let's go to Asheville. It's beautiful. We had visited once or twice. But you come here for the outdoor adventure, and my outdoor, the fun I had was rock climbing. So we came here. I was like, man, I'm going to find some awesome rock climbing buddies, and we're going to just hit the crags. I couldn't find anyone. And access issues were kind of interesting. Rumbling Bald, which is a popular area, and certainly, I believe I guess the Access Fund played a huge role and getting that area secured. And I haven't been out there in a while, but I ended up bouldering out there for a while. But finally, I was just like, man, I got to do some more stuff during the week. I'd moved here from Chattanooga, and the climbing community there was very welcoming, incredible. You could be climbing a 5'8", and the guy belaying you had a project that was 5'13", down the crag. And so that was just sort of the setup. And so here, once I started getting into running,
That's where you found your people?
Yeah, really. It was, I wanted to, a buddy that, or a neighbor was like, hey, I've been training, and he took me to the Mountains of Sea Trail. And that, I remember my first run on the Mountains of Sea Trail. It was so close to where we lived, and it was just very convenient, and I didn't have to drive 30 minutes to an hour to go climbing. And so started running more, and I mostly ran by myself. I was training for the Mount Pisgah 50 miler up in Virginia, because I'd always wanted to do an ultra. When I threw out the trail, I'd heard of David Horton, and he definitely sort of the godfather of ultra marathons, obviously on the East Coast. So I was like, Mount Pisgah 50 miler, that's what I want to do. And because 50K, I was like, man, I'm going to skip that. I got to do a 50 miler. And so trained for that. That was 2003. And then after that, you get the bug.
And for folks that aren't familiar with you, reading up on you, you're kind of known as the guy that's always around his kids, always has kids around. You got 3 kids. You are the creator of the Pitchell Challenge. Will you tell us about that?
Yeah, Pitchell, it's a little over 100K. Distance is really not the what you focus on, but it runs from Mount Pisgah to Mount Mitchell, all along the Mountains of Sea Trail mostly. So it's mostly single track. You cross the parkway a few times. Mount Pisgah is a start. You hike up to the summit of Mount Pisgah.
This is a fatass, right?
It is, yeah. Free event, fun run as we call it.
Fatass, free fun run. So you actually hike up and you start at the summit, and then you run down Mount Pisgah.
Yep, follow the Mountains of Sea Trail all the way to Mount Mitchell. And so the idea, when I caught the bug with Mountain Masochist, I did a few more events. I did the Lynchburg Ultra Series the next year, and that was before Hellgate. And then now it's the Beast Series, which Aaron destroyed this previous year. So 2016 champ sitting right there. But anyway, I was like, I don't, I did Lynchburg Ultra Series, and I was like, man, I need to do some stuff where I don't have to pay to do it. So I'd never been to Mount Mitchell before. So I ran to Mount Mitchell from my house. I remember I was inspired by a guy who had run from Boulder to Long's Peak and back, which was far, a little bit more than from my house to Mitchell. My house to Mitchell and back was about 90 miles probably. And then the next year I ran from my house to Mount Pisgah and back. And so it was like, well, what's next? And I said, well, I'm from Mount Pisgah to Mount Mitchell, of course. So that's how Pitchell was.
Is this so kind of under the radar that you don't actually kind of advertise when it is and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it probably every year that goes by, it's more word of mouth. It was on the wiki page for a little bit, but I don't even put it on the wiki page anymore.
It's the Barkley of Asheville.
Yeah, who knows? It's
And so, Aaron, I want to get you in on here. You also have 2 kids. We're sitting in your house. Thanks again for hosting. You own a running store that you started in 2007 called Foot RX. You're kind of known to be a beast on the trails yourself. You've got quite a lengthy running resume yourself, and you were a finalist for the cover search for Runner's World magazine. Well, first, tell us about that experience.
So. I was out in Colorado for the trail race conference 2 years ago, and I met, I was speaking with Michael Wardian, who was a finalist that year, and I didn't know it was a thing. And so last year, I was like, I wonder if they're doing that contest again. And I looked it up, and basically you just submit your story. And my story was, it was when I moved to Asheville, it was my turn to give back to running. I had gotten so much from running that I wanted to find ways that I could start giving back to runners, to the community, to just the world in general, and that became what I was doing through running, and that was my story. And it was an interesting interview process. They whittled it down to 100 semifinalists, and we had Skype interviews with the panel. Then from that, they selected the final 10, which was 5 males and 5 females. And we went up to New York City and had a great weekend meeting the other finalists.
Is that an all-expense paid deal?
Yeah, it was.
Nice.
Yeah,
you don't get a whole lot of that in this business.
It was a very nice treat. And when I say that I felt out of place, I mean that in sincerity, because the people were amazing. They blew my story out of the water. I was more touched by everything they had done and been through than my story. My my high school coach said, "Aaron, you're just too boring." There's not tragedy in my life.
Right.
Like I've had.
You didn't recover from any addiction,
I've had a blessed life, and
you're not Josh Stevens and been hit by 4 IEDs.
No, no.
But you do have an interesting story. So tell us a little bit about some of the reasons that you were chosen for this. You're known to be kind of a galvanizer of the running community. So you helped start a running association. What's that called?
The North Carolina Mountain Trail Runners, NCMTR.
You've got your own running store, and then you also do quite a bit of philanthropic work. I was really interested to kind of read about your $5 5Ks. I think that's a really great concept. I love it. I want to steal it and take it to Colorado.
I hope you do. I hope
All
you
right,
do.
Cool. Tell us about that.
So the $5 5Ks began as blackjack runs. We would give runners a card at the start. They could take a hit in the middle, and they could take a hit at the finish if they, so choose.
And when you say hit, they take a card?
Exactly. Excuse me. Yes. And so at the end, it didn't matter who ran the fastest. It mattered who had 21. They would win prizes. And so it evolved from there. We were just donating that money to a charity of choice. And I was like, well, this is so easy. I could do this on a monthly basis. We pick a charity each month. All $5 of the entry fee goes to that charity. It's me and John Trey-Levin. He's my right-hand man at FooterX. And the two of us do this together. And we've raised thousands of dollars for local charities that we believe in and want to give back to.
And another part of your story is around family. I know you had a kind of a really cool experience with I laugh at the name of this thing, the Canadian Death Race. Tell us about that.
The Canadian Death Race was interesting because the whole theme of it is like, you're not going to finish, you're going to die, you suck. So my family and I went up for this.
Yeah, I'll sign me up.
Yeah, I'll take that. So we went up to Canada, and this was the first experience my kids had around me running an ultra. And I said, don't worry, if Daddy's suffering and he cries or he's, not too happy, it's okay. Daddy's okay. So we got into this race where I'm just this guy from North Carolina who's like, they're like, you don't have mountains in North Carolina. You're not going to make it up any of these. These are real mountains, boy, And so it was pretty fun. I got into second place in the race, and people are like, you're going to die. You're going out too hard. You're running too hard. And but my kids, all I looked forward to was seeing them at the next aid station, and my wife, and it just gave me that strength to want to continue and want to go forward. And I saw them at the last aid station, the second to last aid station, excuse me. And then in between, I ran across a mom grizz and two cubs, and I had a whole new motivation because it truly became the Canadian Death Race for me. They were right. I am gonna die. Yes, it was a moment. So it was a wonderful experience. It brought us together as a family. They truly began to understand what I do. And why I run the distances I run, and they got a feel for what these events are about.
Awesome. And I know Aaron and Ann have something in common. You both ran for NC State in college, and now tell us a little bit about the kind of startup you're working on.
Well, right now I'm working on doing like different pieces, like commemorative posters and stuff for different racing events. And so our ultra stuff, and it started pretty small. So it started with like a race here and there. And we just kind of got in the idea where we're going to races and people were getting t-shirts and stuff, but not really having anything that they wanted to like kind of like hang onto or frame or have on a wall. And so we kind of got inspired by the idea that if you had this poster on your wall and you did the race like last year, it kind of inspires you to work towards something for the next go around, or it reminds you of such a good time that you had the last time. And so we've started like with a few races around here in this area. I think I started in November with one, and I have 2 or 3 other ones, and I kind of have one every month kind of going through this year, and hopefully keep growing with that. And then,
do you have a name for this?
We work under Wild by Nature.
And you're a nature lover yourself. I was excited to read that you don't just run. Like I take it that Adam and Aaron are really just running 100% of their time as far as their outdoor recreation, other than being dads and the physical workout that involves, as I know. So you boulder, but you also get out quite a bit. You travel, and you say you're kind of in search of the perfect run. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I used to run on road, so I did kind of like more of like the road marathoning and stuff. And back after college, so after Aaron, I graduated after Aaron, but after I graduated from college, I went into competitive marathoning, and I got injured quite a bit. And I just wasn't really doing well, so I kind of took some time off and started getting this idea of trying to hit these trails in all these national parks. And so my first ultra race that I ever ran, or ultra run, was rim to rim to rim of the Grand Canyon solo, and I didn't really know what to expect.
That was your first. Wow. You just kind of jumped into the deep end, huh?
Yeah. And I put my best friend on the other side, and I was like, hey, I'll be back in like 6 hours. Here's a book. And so on the way, so I go across and I come back, and I'm at the, like I'm down in the bottom at Phantom Ranch, and I go to the ranger. I was like, I need to call my friend at the top. I mean, I'm like 22 or 23, and I'm like, I need to call my friend at the top, or she's going to report me missing because I told her I'd be back in 6 hours. And the woman's just like, are you nuts? And I was like, can you just make the phone call? And so I had to call her. They had to call another ranger on top to go find her reading a book and tell her that I was going to be back in like 12 hours.
So you grossly underestimated how long it was going to take.
Especially since it was like 48 or 49 miles. And I went a little early, so I missed the water being turned on. So I had to go about 16 miles with the North Rim without having water. And the temperatures in the canyon reached about 102 that day, or 100. So it was kind of a mess. It was a good experience, though.
Yeah,
it taught me to.
There is a true outdoor adventure right there when you have a positive outlook on that experience. So since then, you've done quite a bit of traveling.
So since then, from there, I've gone to Hawaii and done like the Nepali Coastline Trail out there, and then some stuff around there, and Yosemite, Acadia, Glacier, pretty much all the major national parks. And I keep on circling back, Yellowstone, just like trying to see where the best trail is and stuff, or what. Not the best. Every park has that iconic trail. So I think I just like the experience, and I like that every park is uniquely different. Because I can't really tell you that I have one particular favorite. Like I would say the Smokies, because they're right here and they're ours, and so I'm kind of like, it's like my home team. But I can't say that I like.
But really, Colorado's better. Is that the deal? Well, I do want to get it on that. We've got quite a few listeners. Adam, I know you've got quite a connection as well. You and Ann. Aaron, do you have a connection to Colorado? Do you get out to Colorado?
I head out each year for the trail conference. So I do get out to Colorado each year. And I try to stay for a week because I do have a lot of friends out there. Jeremy Duncan, who's with Trail Runner magazine, I try to visit him each year. And actually, Josh is out there now, so visit him. But I go out to Estes Park each October now.
And Adam, tell us about your Colorado connection. You've been out running, and
I have. The first time I ever went to Colorado, my wife was working at a Young Life camp right outside of Buena Vista, so Frontier Ranch. And that may have been that may have been my first ultra run, actually. I can't remember what year that was, but I got lost on I took, the Colorado Trail, which is real close to, and every bend is just like, man, this is incredibly beautiful. I just want to keep going. And, eventually I was like, oh, wow, I'm really far. But I saw a road. I was like, well, I'll take that road to a dirt road. And before I knew it, I think it was 30 miles before I got back to the camp. I made a big loop, though. I'm a big proponent. I don't like doing out and backs. None of this out and back business. So I had to make a loop.
Only loops, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I fell in love with Colorado, and ended up doing some runs, at around 12,000. I think I ran up Mount Princeton a couple times, which is not far from the camp. So first time over 14,000, amazing, gorgeous up there. And so, but I had not been back to Colorado until this past summer, right after we met. And
you were in a wedding.
Yep, my friend John Harrison and his now wife Genevieve, and they live outside of Vail, both school teachers. So they're awesome people. And really, I knew John from here, and just a running buddy. So Morgan's out there now in Aspen, being Morgan, being awesome, and then Josh, of course, the Boulder Adam.
So I think Ann's probably got the most experience with Colorado. You've done the Run Rabbit Run, and you love Estes Park. You were telling me earlier.
Yeah, so I went out in September and crewed for Run Rabbit, which is a phenomenal race if anybody has ran it, because it's right when the aspens are changing, and that Steamboat's such a great city.
Steamboat's amazing.
And then you have the hot springs right there. I love Steamboat, and I love the Run Rabbit. So I've crewed that 2 years in a row with my running partners, and then I just went out back in October this past year just to go do like a run week, so like a runcation. And so
a runcation, I like that.
Yeah, so we 2 or 3 times a year I guess I kind of like a Rolling Stone. So 2 or 3 times a year I have to kind of just take off and do a little runcation, like therapy. And so I hit Colorado and I went out there and went around
Ann
Boulder.
Wheatley is not gathering moss.
But I was there about 4 days by myself before one of my friends flew in, and so I was in the national park, and then like this major wind, y'all having 80-mile-per-hour gusts and stuff. So I had this idea of like, 12.8 sounds like a good place to watch that. And so I tried to get up, I got like 12,000 feet and realized it was a bad idea. And
I just there's a guy out in Colorado that we're gonna have on the show soon because he's climbing Everest, Jim Davidson. He was out. I read a report. He was out with somebody, and the wind was so fierce it lifted her off the ground and smashed her into a rock. It was like a serious incident. But I mean, it can get gnarly out there for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. You don't see that in Asheville as much, but I think one thing that people don't realize, or one thing that I keep reading, I haven't run many trails, so just some. I found that the terrain is really spectacular. For me, almost as spectacular as Colorado. Of course, I've got a soft spot for Colorado. But a lot of things you hear and read are that people don't quite understand the trails out here, that they're actually tougher than people realize. Aaron, if anybody could kind of talk to, tough running, if you say something's hard, then, take note, listeners, because he's, a truly beast of a runner. But talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, sure. And I think Adam can chime in here as well. We have some serious climbing around here. Between Tennessee, Virginia, Georgia, North Georgia, and here, having some 46,000 foot peaks. It's we have plenty of vert in our area to go up and down, and just the technicality of the trail. It's something you don't get to see anywhere else in the country. Aside from maybe up in New Hampshire and Vermont. Their peaks are just as tough, if not tougher, in some spots. But I just growing up in New York. I didn't have that kind of vert in New York, and sure you can find it in spots, but there's more consistency down south here in the peaks and how much climbing one can do in a run.
And when you guys say like technical and vert, talk to me, Adam, about the technical aspect of it.
Yeah, there's definitely, you've got the roots and the rocks, and if you're talking East Coast, you can go up into New England, and there's obviously some incredible terrain up there. But talking about around here, the blessed Southeast, Western North Carolina, all you need to do, go to Linville Gorge, go to the Black Mountain Crest Trail, and locally, Aaron just ran there last week, a beast of a run along the Westridge Trail, the Seven Sisters. Montreat College is just that's like a mountain runner's paradise right there. A lot of rocky, technical terrain, and I mean, there's a 14-mile loop you go over like 13 summits. So, I mean, you're hitting a summit a mile. So it's, lots of short up and downs, of course. In Colorado, you've got just some of the sustained, long climbs. I mean, you can get some of that here, but to get the massive vertical, you still have some of the...
Let's go around the horn here. And let's just be honest here. I know we all have our kind of hometown allegiance and that soft spot that you were talking about, Ann. But do you have a little bit of Colorado envy, just a little bit?
I'll be honest. I love going out to Colorado. It is my runcation each year when I go out there. I definitely look forward to that time out there for sure. But in sincerity, I love the green of the Southeast. I love the trees, the fauna. It's, the flora. It's special.
One of the things that got me was last time when I was there in Boulder, I was like, I'm going to go hit the Flatirons up like all the pros do. I was like, I'll go run that. And the terrain is very similar to like how, not the scenery, but it's how Mills River is and how like Bent Creek is that we run every day. And I was like, this is going to be easy, but it's also like 8,000 feet. And so there'd be like this small hill where I'm trying to climb it, and I'm like, come on, like it was like cranking. I was like, this is horrible because I'd flown in that day, and I was like,
yeah, but once you acclimatize, that doesn't become an issue.
I think I wish maybe if we could acclimatize here, have somewhere that we could do that. That would be a little bit the one thing I would ask for. But yeah, I like our greenery and our wildlife a little bit more.
Yeah, I would agree with Ann that the altitude definitely, and it affects different people differently. But yeah, there's definitely no faking it at altitude. That will definitely be a humbling experience every time. And so, yeah, I would agree. The technicality, in fact, when I was out there for 9 days for that wedding, and we hit some of the most amazing, that was just the time of my life. I mean, it was incredible. And of course the wedding was awesome too. Some great people, in regards to, I always have the same experience. So every time I go out to Colorado, and certainly the wildflowers, and there are a lot of similarities even in regards to terrain, but you always have the same experience. It's incredible. And in fact, some of the best experiences I've had have, above 12,000 feet, just running pristine mountain trails. But ultimately I come back and every time I'm like, wow, I had forgotten how special it is here in the I call them Appalachian, but apparently you're supposed to call them Appalachian. I don't know what that's about.
Well, while we're orienting folks to, the Asheville running community, I want to talk a little bit about kind of races because, people always, it's convenient. You don't, Adam, I like your kind of spirit of, you used to be a more competitive runner. Now you do kind of more of the fat asses and you start them. But the races help kind of galvanize. It gives you something to kind of put on the calendar and look forward to and know that there's going to be a community around. There's going to be a big party at the end. So for the uninitiated, for the Southeast, kind of take us through kind of the hit list. I know I've seen, names of, races, the Georgia Death Race and some others. But what is your personal hit list as far as, can't miss events if you want to truly experience what Southeast running is about?
Well, I don't do as many races, but Shut In is a classic.
What is that?
Shut In Ridge Trail Race. It's been 34 years. It's 32. It's 30-something years. Yeah, it's been going on a long time. And it's traded hands as regards to race director, but, it's right here in Asheville. Yeah, it runs from Bent Creek area, so from the North Carolina Arboretum, and it finishes up near Mount Pisgah, so in the Pisgah parking area. And so, approximately 18 miles long, and no joke, it's an incredibly difficult mountain race.
Be sure to check out our show notes for links to everything we discussed on our Asheville Show Spectacular. Write to us at info@dispatchradio.com. Connect with us on Facebook and Twitter. Subscribe to the pod on iTunes or Stitcher or wherever you get your podcasts. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to our Asheville Spectacular. I am standing in FootRx with Aaron Saft, the creator of this store. Aaron, what's the store all about?
So, obviously community. We're really community minded here. We just want to serve and help and do whatever we can to better our community, both through contributing financially to various charities and nonprofits in the area, but also in just helping people that have feet and they hurt.
All right, well, let's take a quick walk around the store here. So standing at the front, I'm looking at a board, and it says $5 5K first Wednesday every month, 6:30 p.m. at Fletcher Park. So that's your monthly running series where you donate the proceeds to a local charity. How's that program going so far?
It's great. We just had one. It was for Habitat for Humanity. We raised, I think it was $435 for Habitat. So yeah, it's generally 400, 500, sometimes a little bit more each month that we donate to a local charity. Next month's for Hope Chest for Women, so it's breast cancer, since it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we're looking forward to it.
And so to the left, I see a Run 828 shirt. That's your the foundation that you created.
Right, that's our nonprofit. Yep, just another way of trying to give back to the community and get people out there and active.
And I'm heading through some Run 828 apparel. I see shorts. I see sandals. I see socks on the wall. And then we get to the Grand Resistance here.
Yes, our large trail wall. So our trail shoe wall is probably one of the largest that a lot of people will find. We just try to give everybody a selection. We've really created our niche in trail running. So, we try to make sure we have so many models that everybody has something.
I mean, good Lord, how many models if you had a spitball, how many models are we looking at?
Probably close to somewhere between 20 and 25 models of trail shoes.
Just for the men, and then 25 for the women too, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Right on. Okay. And one thing that I note is you've got a lot of Innovate on the wall. I know you personally wear Innovate. You're one of the brand ambassadors, is that right? Or one of the
team member? Yep. I'm a
team member. You're on the team, and you obviously love the product. So how many Innovate models are we looking at? And tell me about them.
Sure. We've got about I think 5 or 6 Innovate models. Ranging from the newest, the Park Claw and the Trail Rock series, to their classic Rock Light, and my personal favorite, the Trail Talon. But yeah, we've got quite a wide variety.
Is this the Trail Talon right here?
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to highlight on the wall here?
It's just great having such diversity, with all the brands, Altra, Hoka, Topo, Solomon, as we said, Innovate, Nike. It's just awesome having the options for everybody.
And walking over to the women's wall over here, it's kind of similar amount of selection for the women. Usually they kind of get the shaft.
So actually women's business is 60% here, so we see more women than men. We definitely have a lot of women's options.
And speaking of diversity, I'm here visiting my grandma who's down the street at Deerfield, and I had dinner with her friends the other night, and they all said, Foot RX, I go there for my shoes.
Yeah, we've got a really loyal support from our retired community. Yes.
And what do you suggest? When elderly person walks in, obviously they're not out there. Well, not obviously, but for the most part, they're not out there crushing the trail runs at 85. What kind of advice are you giving them?
Just go as bright as possible. You want to stand out at the home. No,
I like that.
We want to make sure they're comfortable. So we definitely take our time and try to fit their feet with what they're going to be comfortable in.
All right, Aaron. Well, it's been awesome being hosted by you at your race, at your home, at your store.
Thanks, Rick.
All of the rumors about you I can confirm are true. You are one of the most gracious, kind people that I've had the chance to meet, and I've been doing this for a year, meeting a lot of people. So thank you.
Thank you, Russ.